The ghostly figure of Wanne hovered behind her twin sister Nwamaka, transparent tears streaming down her face as she watched her sister scrubbing the compound's dusty floor under the harsh African sun. The heavy wooden bucket beside Nwamaka was filled with dirty water, her small hands raw and cracked from caustic soup. At 15, Nwamaka's frame was far too thin, her once bright eyes now dulled by the years of servitude and grief. "My sister," Nwamaka whispered, her voice carried away by the hot harmattan wind. "I cannot rest until you are safe. I see what they planned for you." The ghost forms shivered, remembering the day her own life has been cut short by their stepsister's cruel plot. But to understand this tale of love, betrayal, and supernatural intervention, we must return back to the beginning. The beginning when two young friends' friendship turned into a bitter rivalry. In the vibrant village of Umuaka, nestled in the heart of Igbo land, two young women grew up as inseparable friends. Ifatu, with her striking beauty and commanding presence, and Chioma, whose gentle spirit and kind heart drew people to her like a moth to a flame. Ifatu and Chioma days were filled with shared laughter and secret adventures, from swimming in the village river to weaving flowers into crowns that adorned their braided hair. Ifatu was always the bolder of the two, her commanding presence turning heads wherever they went. Chioma, in contrast, exuded a quiet grace that endeared her to everyone. While Ifatu craved attention, basking in the admiring glances and praises of the villagers, Chioma seemed to win hearts effortlessly, her kind words and thoughtful actions speaking far louder than Ifatu's vibrant charm. The first hint of tension between them surfaced during the Union festival, where the girls were asked to present their ceremonial yams to the villagers. Ifatu relished the attention, her red festival dress catching the sun as she walked confidently ahead, but it was Chioma's humble grace that drew murmurs of admiration from the crowd. Later, as the elders commended Chioma for her poised offering, Ifatu's smile flattered. She laughed and joined in the celebration, but her fingers clenched tightly around the yam leaf she held. The quiet jealousy, a seed that found fertile soil in her heart. Another time, while helping an elderly widow carry her heavy basket home, Chioma selflessly drew praise from passers-by. Ifat walked alongside her friend, carrying nothing but the guilt of her own reluctance to help. The widow thanked them profusely, directing most of her gratitude to Chioma. Ifat forced a smile, but her mind was bitter. Why must Chioma shine always more than me? She thought. It wasn't as if Ifatu didn't care or wasn't capable of kindness. She simply resented how natural it seemed for Chioma, as though the world bent itself to accommodate her goodness. Despite this undercurrent of envy, their bond remained strong for many years, but as they grew older, their lives became entangled with deeper desires and ambitions. Those feelings were there and far too dangerous. Then came Emeka. Emeka was the most eligible bachelor in the village, educated abroad and heir to vast lands. His return to the village caused stir that rippled through every household. Tall, with a quiet confidence and the polish of someone who has seen the world, he embodied everything many young women in Umuaka dreamt of. Stories of his education abroad and his family vast land elevated him to the near legendary status. Ifatu, with her striking beauty and commanding presence, took notice immediately. She imagined herself beside him, a queen to his king, their reunion a testament of their ambition and charm. Chioma, on the other hand, admired him from a distance, her feelings guarded and tempered by her natural humility. As Emeka began to frequent the village gathering, Ifatu found ways to draw his attention. She dazzled in vibrant dresses, her laughter loud and infectious, ensuring she was always the center of the room. Chioma, however, remained in the background, her quiet nature guiding her to observe rather than to perform. Yet, it was this very quality that intrigued Emeka. In their fleeting conversation, he discovered Chioma's depth, her wisdom and simplicity, and the kindness that felt like a balm to his soul. One cool evening, Chioma balanced a clay pot on her head as she made her way to the village stream alone. Ifatu had refused to join her, dismissing the walk as too mundane and claiming fatigue. At the river bank, as Chioma bent to fill the pot, Emeka appeared from the forest. His presence startled her at first. He offered to help her with the pot, but as they stood there, his words split forth, soft yet sure, confessing the admiration he had long held for her in her gentle heart. Choma caught off guard and felt her cheeks flush. As she blushed, she muttered a thank you, her hands trembling as they brushed against his. Chioma happily ran to Ifatu's hut to tell her best friend of her encounter with Emeka. He asked me to marry him, Chioma happily remarked. Ifatu's world darkened. She could not believe her ears. She was surprised that Emeka had chosen Chioma. She had seen herself as the obvious choice, certain that her beauty and boldness would outshine anyone. Instead, she watched at Chioma with her unassuming ways, claiming the affection that Ifatu had craved for. The wedding came and everyone seemed happy, though Ifatu smiled at the wedding, standing among the crowd with fake joy. A heavy bitterness settled in her chest. It wasn't jealousy only, it was a sense of betrayal, as though the universe has conspired against her. From that moment, something sharp and unyielding took roots in her heart, twisting her admiration for Choma into resentment and setting the stage for the conflict that would soon come. Chioma and Ifatu continued in their friendship. Chioma would always tell Ifatu about how her husband showers her with love. Anytime her husband, Emeka, buys gifts for her, she shares some of them with her best friend Ifatu. But Ifatu was not happy. She wanted Emeka for herself. Ifatu couldn't bear it anymore. One day, under the cover of the night, Ifatu visited the feared native doctor who lived beyond the evil forest. The ancient man's compound was littered with bones and strange tournaments, and the air was thick with incense that made her head swim. Make her barren, that is all I want, Ifatu demanded, placing a heavy bag of carries before the medicine man. Let her know the pain of emptiness as I do. The native doctor's eyes gleamed in the darkness as he worked his terrible magic, mixing herbs and making things darker. But Ifatu cared nothing. She watched with satisfaction as Choma's belly remained flat for years, year after year, while Emeka's family began pressuring him to take another wife. Yet, Emeka's love for Choma never wavered. He would gather her in his arm each night, wiping away her tears of shame, promising her that his love was enough. But soon, trouble began. It was Emeka's auntie, Auntie Dumebi, that brought the trouble. Although everyone else have always told him to remarry, Auntie Dumebi's trouble was top notch. Our bloodline must continue, she insisted. Take another wife, or I will withdraw my support from your business ventures. Chioma's home, a one sanctuary of love and peace, became a place of constant tension. Auntie Dumebi arrived unannounced most mornings, her sharp tongue slicing through the air before Choma could even get a chance to greet her. She would sit in the parlor, tapping her cane against the tiled floor, her voice rising as she rendered a lot of accusation and insults on Choma. You evil woman, You tricked my nephew into marrying you. And to Baby spat one morning, her eyes narrowing at Choma. A barren woman like you. How can you hold your head high in this house? You have cursed this family. Chioma bore all the insults silently, her heart breaking a little more each time. Emeka tried to shield Chioma from the storm, but the pressures mounted, and Tudumebi insisted, always making sure that she spread gossip throughout the village. Stories spread like wildfire, whispers of Chioma's supposed witchcraft and how she used love potion on Emeka, and even rumors that she had secretly aborted pregnancy. Emeka stood firm, defending Chioma at every turn. I love my wife, he told his auntie Dumebi one evening as she paced angrily in their sitting room. Her worth is not tied to children. This is my marriage, not yours. Stop disturbing us. But Dumebi was relentless. Love will not save you. When the ancestors turned their back on us, she thundered. Her charms have blinded you, but you will regret this when your lineage ends with you. Meanwhile, Ifatu, embodied by Dumebi's persistence, began planting seeds of doubt into Emeka's mind whenever she had a chance to. During casual conversation, she would let sly remarks slip. Emeka, have you noticed how strange Choma's behavior has been lately? She once murmured, her tone feigning concern. Perhaps you should consult someone, just to be sure nothing unnatural is at play. Chioma was not aware of what Ifato was doing. She continued confiding in her friend, always going to her house to tell her all her problems. She never knew that her closest friend, Ifato, was the architect of her suffering. Even as the weight of Dumebi's constant attack wore down her, she clung to hope. She believed that someday her husband's unwavering love would help her produce a child. But Ifatu's jealousy and Dumebi's scheming were a storm brewing on the horizon, one Choma would be forced to face head on. Over the years, Ifatu's bitterness grew like a smouldering fire that refused to die. She stayed unmarried, always finding excuses to turn down potential suitors. But the truth was, none of them compared to Emeka. Ifatu watched Emeka from a distance, his hand brushing Chioma as they walked, his laughter echoing warmly when he was near. Every stolen moment between them was a cruel reminder of Ifatu's belief she deserved him. It was maddening and unbearable. Her obsession consumed her thoughts until she could no longer take it anymore. Later one night, driven by anger and desperation, Ifatu made her way to the evil forest again, where the most feared medicine man in the region lived. The path was airy, silence, but sometimes occasional rustle of unseen creatures. The air itself seemed heavier, and the twisted trees clawed at the sky like warning fingers. The medicine man's hut was a chilling sight. Scores of animals hanging from the roof, swaying gently in the wind. White strange ornaments lined in the entrance. The air was thick with incense, choking and sharp. Ifatu hesitated for a moment. Her courage failed her a bit, but the thought of Emeka slipping back to her mind made her to push forward. Inside, the man sat surrounded by powder, bones, and herbs. His gaze landed on her, and he chuckled darkly. You have come for something dangerous, he said, as though he already knew. I want Emeka, Ifatu said firmly, settling down a heavy bag of carries in front of him again. I will pay whatever it takes. The man's smile widened as he reached for the bag. Desire is powerful. Yes, we know, but it comes with a cost. I don't care about the cost, he snapped. Just do it. The ritual was unnerving. The medicine man mixed herbs with dark, unidentifiable objects and ingredients, chanting words that seemed to pull the air from the room. The charm he created was strange. He handed it over to her and explained how to use it, warning her one last time that meddling with such forces often come back to haunt the one who summoned them. Ifatu ignored him. She didn't care about the consequences, only results she wanted. Over the next few weeks, she followed the instruction meticulously. She found ways to cook for Emeka, slipping the charm into his meals. At first, nothing seemed to happen, but then she began to notice the silent change. Emeka, one steady gaze seemed to waver, his affection for Choma dimming. Slowly, he began to see Fatu in a different light, drawn to her in different ways he couldn't explain. The village was stunned when Emeka finally announced his decision to take Ifatu as his second wife. Chioma's heart was broken, but Ifatu felt only triumph. On their wedding day, she stood beside Emeka, feeling beautiful and victorious, while Chioma watched from the crowd with silent pain. For a fleeting moment, Ifatu felt something stir in her heart, a flicker of guilt, perhaps, but she shoved it aside. As far as she's concerned, she has won. What did it matter how I got it, as long as I have won? Yet, somewhere in her mind, the missing man's warning lingered, a shadow the years she that couldn't followed quite were shake. Bitter ones for Choma. She watched as Ifatu bore Emeka three daughters, Nena, Chidera, and Obioma. Each birth seemed to drive him further from her, his eyes growing distant and cold when he looked upon his first wife. Ifatu's triumph appeared complete when she moved into the master's bedroom, relegating Chioma to the servants' quarters. Chioma never stopped praying and crying to God day and night. She prayed that God should wipe away her tears and grant her the fruit of the womb. But fate had not finished weaving its tale. In the 12th year of their marriage, Chioma discovered she was pregnant with a child. Not just one, but twins, a powerful blessing in the Igbo culture. When the news spread, Emeka's love for Chioma reignited like a flame giving fresh fire. He moved her back into the main house, lavishing her with attention and care. Ifatu watched this transformation with mounting rage. Her carefully constructed world was crumbling. She went back to the native doctor, but he told her there's nothing anyone could do to those babies in the womb. They are divine twins set from above, he told her. The night the twins were born, two perfect girls, named Wanne and Wamaka. Ifatu's hatred crystalled into something dirty and deadly. These children could steal what she had worked for. She had worked so hard to obtain. For 3 years, she bided time, watching the twins grow into beautiful toddlers who were mirror image of their mother. Choma's joy was complete. Even Emeka's other daughters seemed happy to adore their little sisters. But Ifatu was crafting another evil plan. When the twins were 6 years old, something tragic happened. It happened on a market day of bustling energy and chatter as villagers traded goods and stories. Chioma had risen early that morning, her heart light despite the long day ahead. She packed a basket with yams, cassava, and vegetables from her farm, preparing to sell them in the bustling market square. As she walked through the compound, the twins, Wanne and Wamaka, toddled after her, their laughter ringing through the air. She kissed them goodbye, promising to return with sweet treats from the market. She didn't know that someone had ensured she would never return. The path to the market was a narrow, dirty road that twisted through dense bushes and uneven terrain. That morning, as Choma made her way with the basket balanced gracefully on her head, Ifatu's plan was already in motion. The night before, she had bribed a man from the neighboring village to sabotage the old rickety wooden bridge that spanned the stream on the main path. The man, desperate for the money, had loosened several planks and weakened the support beam, knowing that anyone crossing it would be at risk. Chioma's journey was uneventful until she reached the bridge. It creaked under her weight, but she pressed forward, unaware of the danger. She reached the middle. The structure gave way with a deafening crack. Villagers nearby heard her scream as she fell into the river, the stream below, and hit her head on the rock. By the time help came, it was too late. Her lifeless body was found, tangled in reed downstream. Her basket and goods scattered along the river bank. The villagers mourned her loss, lamenting and crying at the cruel hand of fate. But some whispered in hushed tones, questioning the sudden collapse of a bridge that stood for decades. Only Fatu knew the truth. She had ensured Choma's demise, her heart as cold as stream that claimed her rival's life. As the village mourned, Ifatu stood among the crowd, her expression carefully neutral. Inside, however, she felt no remorse, only satisfaction. Choma was gone, and with her death, the way was clear for Ifatu to solidify her place in Emeka's life. The twins' life changed dramatically after their mother's death. Ifatu convinced Emeka that the girls were Ogbanje, evil spirits who caused their mother's death. She spoke of signs and omens, exploiting her grief and superstition until he became a mere shadow of himself, leaving the twins to their fate. Life became a living nightmare for Wani and Amaka after their mother's death. Cast aside like unwanted burdens, they were stripped of their childhood and thrust into a life of servitude. By the time they turned 15, the outdoor kitchen had become their permanent sleeping quarters, a cold and dusty space filled with faint smell of ash and sharp bites of night air. Their thin mat offered little comfort against the hard ground, and the tattered blankets they shared could hardly keep the chill away. Each day began before dawn. The sky still clothed in darkness. They had to fetch water with heavy buckets from the village stream for the whole family. They scrubbed the floors until their fingers ached and prepared meals that they were barely allowed to taste. The scraps they received were just enough to keep them alive, and their bodies grew thin and frail. If their chores were not done to perfection, punishment followed immediately: slaps, kicks, and being forced to redo the work for many hours. What made their suffering worse was the cruelty of their stepsisters. Once playful companion, Chidera, Obioma, and Chika were tormenting the twins. They would deliberately spill palm oil onto freshly cleaned floor, laugh as they turned away baskets of heavy water on the floor. They would tear the clothes of their twin sisters, leaving them to stitch them back with their terrible hands. But amidst this unrelenting hardship, Nwanne and Wamaka found solace in each other. At night, when the world grew quiet, they would huddle under their shared blanket, whispering stories of their mother. They imagined their mother smiling at them, her soft voice telling them tales of bravery and resilience. They promised to protect one another, vowing to survive together no matter what came their way. However, even this fragile comfort was shattered when Chidera, the eldest stepsister, allowed jealousy to twist her heart into something deadly. Despite the twins' rich appearance, their beauty was very obvious. This infuriated Chidera, who could not bear to see them admired by young men of the village, or even envied by others. The twins, she decided, had to go. One fateful morning on their 15th birthday, Chidera whispered her sinister plan to her sisters. They would rid themselves of the twins, starting with Wanne. The old well behind the compound, unused and hidden from the view, would be the perfect place. As dusk fell, Chidera approached Wanne with a forced smile. The water in the main pot is finished, she said sweetly. Come help us draw from the old well. It's the only one left. Wanne hesitated. The old well was avoided for a reason. It was deep, and its wall crumbled with age. But Chidera's tone was convincing, and her sisters chipped in, urging her to come along. One ever dutiful sister relented. The well loomed in the fading light. As Wanne leaned over to lower her bucket, the sister exchanged a glance. Chidera stepped forward, her heart pounding. With sudden strength, she pushed Wanne into the darkness. The sound of the scream echoed briefly before being shallowed by the well's depth. Silence followed, heavy and suffocating. The sisters froze for a moment, their breath raised with fear. Then, as if nothing had happened, they hurried back to the compound, their faces marked with innocence. That night, however, their crime could not go unnoticed. Wanne's spirit rose from the well, her form shimmering like moonlight on water. Bound by the love for her twin, she could not rest, knowing what fate awaited Wamaka. For as her spirit lingered, she overheard Ifatu in the shadows, speaking in low tones with a devil priest. This is not the end. To find out what happens when vengeance meets redemption and secrets come to light, don't miss part 2, The Spirit Wrought. Kindly subscribe and hit the notification bell. Love you. Bye.